lined up like I usually do.
Happy Beauty Mind Monday,
Happy
Allison and
Beauty
Ashley.
Mind Monday.
Hello.
Hi, Ash.
We
Hey,
are we
girl.
are we are three different time zones today. We got Pacific, Central, Eastern. So we got the whole United States. Well, I guess we need somebody on Mountain Time. Should we call somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I don't know.
All of our bases covered. And as you can see, Allison had a pretty, uh, scheduled and structured day today. Some things got pushed around, so we're just making things happen. We thought it'd be fun if you
You'd think
It's
you'd
real.
think the one person on Eastern time would be ready now since it's noon here.
yeah.
This is real life, guys.
This is real life because I had my whole day planned out and I was like woke up at 5 a.m. I'm back on my schedule. If you guys listened a couple weeks ago, I was off. Mark was all bragging about how he was on his gym schedule, and I was like, I'm not at all. So yeah, today I woke up at 5, got my gym in, and then I went and got a massage. I was so excited. Took my kid to school. My other kid forgot his water bottle, so brought the water bottle to that school. Went and got a massage, and then life happened, and Paris had to go to the hospital. So I had to drive him there, and I did my makeup in the waiting room at the emergency room, looking pretty good for doing emergency room makeup.
That fluorescent light looks good on you.
And then I was like, sorry, bud, I got to go do my webinar. And he's like, you're good. So
Yeah. This is one of those things. I think it's like life is going to happen, and you just push through it. You keep a smile when you can, and hope everything comes back positively for Paris.
Yeah. So usually I have my phone on Do Not Disturb while we're on these, but today I'm keeping it on. So if you guys see me texting, I'm not going to be secretive about it. If I need to pull out my phone and text, I'm going to do that.
You're not being secret about anything today. You're just
Yeah.
letting it fly.
Listen,
I feel like we're in her bathroom right now.
you guys are lucky. I forgot to grill this piece. You guys are lucky that I got dressed first because I ran in the bathroom to hurry up and change. Not that I could have just put this shirt on and like everything would have been fine, but I was wearing like a Star Trek hoodie and like my leggings had lint all over them. Whatever. We're just rolling with it. This is real life. Most of the time I have it together, 98% of the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really.
So we're gonna talk to Ashley today about her story as well. I think something that's been on my mind today, and maybe we'll lead with this and then talk about how you do things, Ashley, is being as efficient as possible. Obviously at our like seminars and everything I speak about, or we all speak about, finding the formula that is best for you. Because everyone is different. Everybody's life is differently structured because of whatever chapter they're in and what their day looks like and what their family life looks like, work life, etc. So finding what that formula is for you. And, with AI being so prevalent these days, people are still like maybe dipping their toes in, and obviously ChatGPT is something that people jumped on first. Now it's becoming, if you're not using something like ChatGPT every single day, you're going to get left behind. And the reason is because it helps you make decisions faster, allows you to find speed, it allows you to get to the finish line quicker, and just probably at a better answer to whatever you're trying to figure out. So figuring out a way to implement AI into your day-to-day to ensure that you make the most out of every single day, whether it's making decisions, whether it's writing an email and correcting spelling and grammar, what have you, doing research. Using AI is becoming something that needs to be part of your day-to-day if you want to reach your highest potential. And so that's just something that I think, since we're still somewhat early in this AI chapter, I think people are still kind of just touching it when they need to. But then, Allison, I know you use it every single day. I use it every single day. Ashley, is this something that you've kind of implemented into your day to day?
Yeah, ChatGPT is my second husband. I use it for everything. Honestly, I use it for planning my kids' day. I use it for planning my content. I used it when I was looking to build an employee handbook. I don't think since I've learned about ChatGPT, there's been a day that I haven't talked to it. Some
Yeah.
days it's a
ChatGPT
woman,
is your
sometimes.
it's your smarter, more organized husband.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Why you
Yeah.
have to throw shade
all
at
the
her
time.
husband like that?
I
Yeah,
don't know her. I don't know her as well as I know Ashlee, and as close as we are. I have not met her husband,
yeah. Well, I
so
just
I
met
can throw
Paris for the
shade.
first time, yeah. We've been, like,
Over
secret.
FaceTime, does that even count?
Yeah.
I feel like ChatGPT lately has been really, I mean, obviously use it for so many things, but lately it's like insane to me. Every time I use it to finish a thought, I'm like, this is insane. How many half thoughts do we have? I have so many half thoughts. Do you
Oh,
guys know what I mean? Like you get a little bit of an idea and you're like, I don't, I can't really turn this into something. I have a little idea, but I don't have a good enough idea.
right.
Mhm.
And like you pop your little ideas into ChatGPT and they will turn into big ideas. They will turn into things that can really do something and make it easier to say and bring to life rather than just having these like little thoughts that pass through your head. And yeah, that's like when I use it for things like that, I'm like, that is good. And the other day, I was talking to my dad about this because he's starting to like learn the AI world and really be amazed by it as well. And I was talking to him the other day about something, and he had wrote a really long, I guess you could say like an ad that we were going to put out. He wrote something really long and said, well, he didn't say this. I said it needs to be not sounding like a 68-year-old man wrote it. Like, I need to change this because I need to make it look like a girl wrote it or a young woman, like
Mhm.
for what the ad was about. I'm not going to share that. But, and so, anyways, he goes, yeah, I need you to change it. And then I put it into ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to do it for me instead. And he goes, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. But Chat said it in like 4 sentences, what he had in 4 paragraphs.
Yeah.
But the other thing is I had an idea the other day and it was, I was thinking about how when you're younger, you hear these things like, health is wealth or, don't sweat the small stuff or like those little like quotes that you hear when you're younger and you grow up knowing these quotes. Everyone knows them. But I couldn't think of any more. And I wanted to make a post about, I haven't done it yet, it's coming soon. I wanted to talk about like things that you hear when you're younger that mean absolutely nothing. They're just like a passing thought that someone says to you. But when
Yep.
you're older, they're just like, they mean everything.
Mhm.
And I couldn't think of any others. I knew they were out there. I would have had to rack my brain and scour the internet to find quotes. And I just put in chat, I said, what are 10 quotes that you hear when you're younger that are very familiar to everyone that
Mm.
hold almost no meaning until you get older? And bam, everything I wanted to say. I was like, this is money.
Yeah.
For sure.
Get to the finish line
Yeah.
and articulate it better, shorter, and impact people's lives better. And I think there's 2 ways to go about it. It being a crutch to you, which is what we don't advise to. We want you to get, close to the finish line as possible, then help you get
Mhm.
there. And then that way you can retain the information as well and you can learn through it versus a lot of people that are using it for the idea and then copy and pasting it, putting that idea through and having it, maybe elaborate on it for them, then them bringing it in, putting it on a teleprompter, speaking directly to the camera. Now they're just, they, it's just ChatGPT in human form, and it's not even you. So you don't want to do that. You're going to become, an idiot in the next 5 years. You're not going to learn anything.
Mhm.
So it is a slippery slope. It should be interesting to see what 20 years from now looks like.
Yeah. Ashley, I feel like you've become such a natural with AI though, like just watching the different things you've done. I loved what you did the other day with the trend, the Barbie box trend or the action
Yeah.
figure trend. I
Yeah.
loved, so instead of doing like Ashley, like everyone was doing their self, Ashley did Salon AF clients. That was so cute. And I
Mhm.
love, that's so important with while we're, kind of pivoting from AI to social media. That's so important to take trends on social media and change them because I don't know, social media is getting kind of like, okay, we get it. Same songs all the time.
Same
Same. It's
thing.
like everybody just repeating each other. It's like, okay, be original, And
Right.
so, I mean, I did the trend. I wanted to. I thought it was cute and everything, but I do kind of get in my head like, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think
Right.
of that idea? And we really need to like exercise our creativity still when it comes to social media, but it's so
Mhm.
easy to doom scroll until you find a cute trend to copy.
Mhm.
But I really love taking things and then thinking, okay, how can I put a spin on this that's completely different from what it is. And I feel like you really did that with the doll trend. That was super cute.
Yeah, I thought it was so much fun. It's like one of those things chat GPT, I was like, no, I want one of them to look like this. And she's like, sorry, girl, here, I'll fix it for you. And I'm like, thank you, chat, for listening. But no, I
Yeah.
love it. I use chat for honestly to plan out most of my social media. I create, what my caption's going to be, and I post a photo or a video, and I actually upload what I'm thinking of doing for my social media. And I'm like, do I think this is going to attract the right audience? Like, do you think, like I asked chat, like, do you think this is gonna attract my target market or audience? And sometimes it's like, it kind of seems like you're straying from, your true north or whatever. So maybe bring it back to this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like the really honest but nice, kind assistant.
Yeah.
That's way smarter than you. That should be the boss.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Ashlee and I actually met on social media, which if anyone tuning in found us from either of our pages, you would have already known that because we're obsessed with each other and we gas each other up all the time. But let's talk about how we met. Let's hear your side of the story.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's 3 sides, right? Yours, mine, and the correct one. No, and Mark's.
The one that I heard. Yeah.
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 So I am an educator for 11 Australia. And we had a class that they were putting on that was with Mastermind Beauty. And I was like, freaking cool. I guess we'll take this business class. And before that, they had like kind of posted that, they were going to start hosting some webinars with Mastermind Beauty. And so I was looking and I was like, oh, this girl looks dope. Like she has a planner, she has all this. And I was like,
I must have had it together that day.
Yeah. I was like, I'll grab a planner. And you messaged me and you were like, hey, and 2 steps back right before this, we just had a 11 Australia call talking about a show in Ireland. And I was like, that'd be so cool to go to. So then you message me and you're like, hey, thank you so much for buying a planner. I'd love to talk to you and just make sure you're using this correctly. And I was like, yeah, sure. We get on a video chat. I'm pretty sure we FaceTimed. And I was like, God, what if she's super weird? I'm like, oh my gosh.
She is.
And
Plot twist, she is. And you like it?
And I like it. It was like within 5 minutes, you were like coaching me and like you felt like a sister that was just like, yeah, no, you sound like you're doing great. And then you had said something. I'm pretty sure it was like, yeah, I was asked to go to Ireland for the show, but I don't really know if I want to go by myself. And I was like, I'm such a believer in whether you call it God, the universe, timing, whatever, karma. I was like, if someone asks me to go to Ireland, I'm going. And you literally said,
leave it to me.
Yeah, you were like, well, I got asked to go. I don't know if I want to go by myself. I only know one other person there or something. And I was like, oh, well, I kind of want to go to Ireland.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned that like there isn't a whole lot of shows in the US or like people don't do shows like they used to. We're talking about something about that. It was probably also America's Beauty Show would have been coming up that time of year too.
Yeah.
So we might have been talking about that or something. But yeah, well, I don't know if you already know this, but you were our first planner sale.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so you were our first planner sale. I think we got like maybe 4 or 5 that week. A lot of them were related to 11 Australia's class because we had just launched them and we had just talked about them. So you grabbed the first one and we didn't have like a recording yet to talk about it. We hardly had any content, I don't think, Mark, anything about 11 or Elevate. And so I was just kind of like, we need to make sure these people are using it correctly. I don't want them just floating around in the world.
Right.
And
yeah.
And I remember Mark was like, who's Ashlee Fisher? They just purchased a planner. And I was like, I don't know. And then I looked, I was like, oh, she's an 11 Australia educator.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think one of the other educators from Canada had purchased one too. But anyways, yeah. So you were first one. So that's why I was like, well, I need to do one-on-one calls with these people. And then, yeah, you were like, talking about how there's not a whole lot of shows. I'm like, well, I just got invited one to in Ireland, but I don't know if I want to go alone.
Yeah.
Mark was my second choice.
Yeah, no, was this before or after Budapest? It was after, no?
This was before, long before. Yeah. I think if it was after Budapest, I would have been like, I'm going to this too. But I was like, Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and it was right when we were just launching Mastermind. It was all like very soon in the game.
Mhm.
And so yeah, me and Ashley met up in Ireland and
Like, I
we
literally texted you, I think an hour after our one-on-one, and I was like, "Dude, I just booked a ticket."
I think it
And
was
you were
5
like,
minutes
"Oh my
after a
god."
one-on-one. I was like, "This girl's not playing around.
Yeah.
I'm going to Ireland with a stranger." And I didn't wanna tell anyone that I was going with you because I was afraid they were gonna, like, scare me and make me think I wasn't gonna like you or something. So I'm
Mhm.
like and then finally, like, the couple of people that we have mutual friends, they were like, "Oh my god, heard you're going to Ireland with Ashley. You're gonna love her." I'm like, "Whew."
And vice
I was
versa. They were
scared.
like, "I'm so jealous. She's so great." And I was like, "Okay, cool," because I did get a little bit of buyer's remorse. I was like, "What am I doing? I don't like, I'm a 30-year-old woman just, like, gallivanting to Ireland with someone I don't know.
Yes.
Like, this is a movie with Liam Neeson in it for sure." Like,
It was
gosh.
great. We had so much fun. We, like, hosted. We didn't host. That's next.
Yeah, that's
We we assisted, 11 a little bit that day for the stage prep and things like that. It was so fun. I
mhm.
remember at one point thinking, like, "This is the funnest night ever. Like, this is so fun."
Yeah.
And, everybody that we were with was like, "You guys just met? Like, are you serious?" And we're like, "Yeah, like, this morning." And they're like, "You guys just met this morning?" And we're
Yeah,
like,
we
"Yeah."
showed up every day wearing the same outfit too, which was so bizarre. Like, every day we had the same, like,
Yeah.
it was
Well,
ridiculous.
when you meet somebody, you know, like and that's what once you find those like-minded people that will take a risk like that and go see
Mhm.
what happens, especially to a different country, like that's on a whole different level, obviously. But then you keep those people around because you know those are the people you can actually really build with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Now
I
we have
love to.
standards. Now we're like, "Wanna go to London in May?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's book it." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll see you in a couple weeks."
Gosh, I guess.
We've known each other for a year now, and this will be our 3rd the 1st week of May will be our 3rd time hanging out in person.
Yeah.
We have catching up to do. This is
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I
but
love that. And you guys, so we'd say that Ireland was a success.
yes.
Yeah.
It was such a success. It
Yeah.
was just like and so many things came from it, like, so many relationships that we made there, like, so many conversations that we had there have come to, like, fruition and, like,
Yeah.
really I don't know, I feel like it first of all, it's like a great foot to start our friendship on because both of us were like, "Hey," like, doing our own thing, but also, like, super supporting each other, which
Right.
is so great. Because like, she 11 was there, and that's her thing, and then I was kinda there, on, like, I don't know, I guess you'd say, like, Mastermind Beauty was just launching. I was really just trying to make those relationships, so I had, like, my thing, but she was so supportive, and I obviously wanna support her as much as I can too, so getting her the connections, all the guys that are super high up at 11 Australia, like, being able to meet them from Australia, just, like, such
Mhm.
a success, so many conversations that we had, and yeah, it was also just super fun.
Yeah.
So,
It was very rare, I feel like, and I don't know, maybe we'll talk about this, but it was very rare to find someone else who's a cheerleader in the industry,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
especially in this present day, I don't
Mhm.
think that's always been the case. I know it's a little bit different with women, especially. It's in
Mhm.
not that I know much about that, just based on like research and hearing from
Well, you also,
other
like,
people.
grew up with me, and I was, like, half my life was ruined by, like, Mean Girls.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's like, yeah, it's a challenge to find those cheerleaders. But I think that's why when you see some kind of chaos like we're seeing right now in the beauty industry, we can be the solution to that because we see how you guys come together and how that can that how like how magical that is and how it inspires everybody around you and how it makes your lives better and how you can build more and live a more fruitful life at the end of the day. And
Mhm.
so if we can come in and be the solution to show people how to number one understand what the current state of the industry is and give them truth in every lane, meaning whatever profession and whatever like lane you want to go down, whether it's commission or it's independent or whatever. If everybody had more information and wasn't operating from an emotional standpoint that has been uh, incorrectly delivered from the internet,
Mhm.
then they could support those around them and realize not everybody's out to get them, and that
Right.
they can make an educated decision based on what their future holds. But most people are making a big wrong step earlier in their career that's fucking up their future and fucking up the relationships. And that's a difficult thing to correct. So I think that's why it's I feel grateful to be in the game right now based on how chaotic it is, because we can be the solution to ensure that the future days are more fruitful for everyone.
Yeah, Ashlee and I are very loud about like use the internet correctly and you'll meet your favorite people. Like use the internet correctly and you'll meet like-minded people. Don't, I could have just filled her planner order and been like, "Hey, here's how to use it or whatever," but something told me to say more. Same thing with so many people I've met on Instagram. Like something told me to just like reach out or like, and some people I've reached out to, I've never got a response from, but like some
Right.
people reply and they're like, "Oh my God, like I love your content too." And it turns into like an amazing friendship and you're like-minded so you can help each other reach your goals. Ashlee and I have totally different businesses. We have totally different businesses. I have 2 commission salons. She has a salon suite. She's still supportive of my structured salon and I'm still supportive of her structured suite. But so many people are quick to think that commission salon owners hate suite renters. They think they're ruining the industry or whatever. And then suite renters think that commission salon owners, I'm like just meshing all my words together at this point. Salon owners are ruining the industry and like destroying their real, and like, it's like, no, none of that's actually happening. That's just what the internet and what the media is trying to tell you. They're feeding you lies and blanket statements based off of people who don't have good intentions in the industry. And then people are just making assumptions about everybody. But here we are, 2 totally different sides of the industry, totally supporting each other. You run your suite like a real business. You don't run your suite like you want to, hide all your money and cash and don't report it. And, you run it like a real business. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I love that you say that because I remember starting and I was a booth renter. Starting off, I was a commission, but when I came back to Heron, Iowa, I was a booth renter from someone. And I can remember people saying, "Well, if I give you cash, then you don't have to report it, right?" And I was like, "What?" I was so confused by that. I was like, "I don't have to report cash?" And I was like talking to my tax guy, and he's like, "Why did you tell me this?" He's like, "Are people really doing that?" And I was like, "I guess, I don't know." But that's one of those things that I very much
the entire
love.
industry.
Yeah.
My
I very
salon,
much love this.
my salon had the same thing. People would be like, "You probably want cash, huh?" And it's
Yeah.
like, I
You
mean,
probably want me to tip you on Venmo, don't you? And I was like, "I don't give a shit how you like."
yeah, run me my money. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's also, I think that's an old school mentality. And that's one thing, like, I think everybody, when they first get into a business, they think that that's the way to go. And maybe it is initially when you're not making that much money and you're trying to keep as much as possible. Same thing in the waiting table industry. Everybody, they don't want to be taxed on their tips, so they keep it separately. But once you get into actually doing a real business, and that's what we're trying to teach people to do, real business, because there's either doing business or we're actually doing business. And that means your structure. That means that every penny that comes in, you want to collect and show, because over time, you now have an accurate valuation of your company. Say that you hide all of your money and then you bring on a partner and they're like, "Hey, I'll bring in this amount of money and be your partner. And let's go into, I'll help you with your salon." And you're like, "Okay, well, what's the valuation?" Because if I come in and I give you, say, I bring $250,000 to the table. If you're only showing that the current valuation of your company is $500,000 based on your years of experience, how many people, they're going to take 50% of your company for bringing in that investment. And say, like, obviously being a one-person hairstylist, maybe your valuation is at 500,000. But even let's say you show 100,000, but really you made 200,000. You've been hiding $100,000 worth of tips. If somebody comes in at 100,000 valuation and they come at 50. They bring in 50,000, they're going to take half of your company because that's half of what your current valuation is. Versus if you were actually showing you had 200,000 and then they're bringing 50,000 in to be a partner in your salon. Now they're only getting 25% of your $200,000 valuation because that's the percentage of the total. So when you're actually starting to do real business, you want to actually document everything, be very structured, detail oriented. So that way you can actually build something substantial, whether it's one salon, several salons, what have you. Because if you can show on paper what you're actually worth, when you go to investors or you go to other business people and you want to expand and create a planner or a new product or what have you, you want to show what you're worth, you can't show what you're hiding. It doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
If they look if you're trying to show what you're not collecting and you're trying to do business with someone else, they're like, okay, show me the papers. And like, okay, well, but I hid half of this. Then they're not going to want to do business with you anyways, because that's it's a small-minded way of going about things. So yes, business, when you get into something, people want to hide it because you're not making that much initially. And usually your business is going to be very messy. What our approach is actually building a business, doing it properly, doing it structured so you can actually, expand as you get further into the game.
Yeah, I
Right.
had a coach like 10 years ago tell me like, do not, or no, it was longer than that. I guess it was more like 15, 16 years ago. She's like, no cash is being hidden from this business, right? Like
Mhm.
she's like, we don't do that. We don't play that game. We're not trying to beat the government. Okay.
Right.
All it's going to do is backfire on you in the end.
Mhm. Yeah, and I kind of have gotten to a point, and I think probably this year, and I think it was at your Salt Lake City class where it kind of like really hit me, where I was like, I am so fucking tired of being in a poor woman's industry. They make us seem like we are so broke as hairstylists, and I am so sick of it. Like most of the hairstylist friends I know are, walking around with their LV, they're like going on these luxury trips, but we never see that because everyone wants you to think there's no money to be made.
Yeah.
And, because we're hiding the money somewhere because we're all our own business owner. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with that. Like, we are making moves. We are showing the world we are doing this.
And that's part of the reason that when you Google how much a hairstylist makes, it says like 35,000 because that's all they're showing. And my first job as a hairdresser, I guess it was about 18 years ago, the first salon I worked at, I worked there for 2 years. I remember we would have to fill out these like, I don't know, like little piece of paper to say how much tips we brought in or whatever. And I remember my manager like definitely telling me like, hey, don't report everything. And this is a big department store chain salon. Like this wasn't some mom and pop shop. Like this
Mhm.
was an actual business. And even in there, they were teaching you to say that you made
Budget.
less. And all it's done is hurt our industry.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's hard to I feel like it's such a catch-22 or whatever because it's like starting out, like my first year doing hair, I made $12,000. I was not at a great place. I do think having a great team, things like that are super beneficial, but a lot of hair schools are taught, like you're going to make $100,000 your first year, and it's like the part that they don't teach you is the hustle behind the chair. And I feel like we've gotten to hustle culture is so toxic. And I'm like,
No, you actually have
says
to work really
who?
hard.
Yeah. I was like, if I didn't hustle every day, my life would be so boring. Like,
If
I
you
feel
didn't
like,
hustle, we wouldn't have been in Ireland. We wouldn't be going to
right.
London and we wouldn't have went and Salt to Salt Lake.
Yeah. It's like, I'm so tired of this. Like, hustle is so toxic. And I was like, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something having to do with that, but yeah, that is a big misconception, something that I hate to see on social media. That is definitely another one of those like statements that somebody made, and everybody else is like, "Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to talk about hustle culture," and it's like, no, unfortunately, like yeah, no, don't hustle yourself into the ground. Like,
Right.
definitely don't do that. But you do have to hustle if you want to make money. You do have to work long hours. You do have to work shifts that you don't necessarily want to work for forever. You
Right.
do
Yeah.
have to go out there and take clients that you wouldn't necessarily want to take. You do. If you
Yeah.
want to make money. If you don't want to make money, if you don't need that bread, then
Right. If
you
you
don't have
want
to
it
do
to
that.
take 10 years instead of 4 years, then don't hustle. It's like a workout program. It's like, yeah, let's do some high intensity and get to your goal quicker. Or you could just go on a walk every day for 45 minutes for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remembered what I was going to say when you said that beauty schools make it sound like you can be so successful so quick. And they also aren't telling the truth about being independent. And that is a big problem I have. I'm torn between going to the beauty schools and talk about this and let them figure it out the hard way. Because, like I said, I've said this in previous webinars, coming from a commission standpoint, a commission salon owner standpoint, going into a beauty school and talking about how hard it is to be independent and how it might not be the right choice for you doesn't always come across well received, right? Like it
Right.
kind of sounds like I'm just like,
A commission owner.
petty. Yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of just sounds like I am a commission salon owner.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Like my mom was independent her whole life and it was really hard for her to raise her prices and organize her business and she probably had a lot of cash and there was all these things that went into her being independent that it wasn't even common. I mean, it was common to be booth rent at that time, but suites weren't a thing, right? Now we
Mhm.
have this more sexy version of being independent. I mean, your freaking suite behind you is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. If I saw that and I was in beauty school, I'd be like, I want that. My
Mhm.
own color line that I can, use whatever I want. I can decorate it myself. I can paint my cabinets green if I want. I can
Mhm.
put my name on the door. That sounds amazing, but no one's telling the truth about how hard that is.
No. You're
And no
still
one,
making 50%. You are
I mean,
still doing everything that a commission would.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're still making 50%. You might make more in a salon, in a commission salon, if you're the right person for that. And you might make more independent if you're the right person for that. But I mean, there's so much more hard things that go into being a suite renter that no one's talking about. And can you go from beauty school into a suite and be successful? Absolutely. You totally can. If you have the right people behind you to support you, if
Mhm.
you're extremely social, if you got friends that are business owners, and if you don't, you're ready to go into every business and promote yourself. If you are ready to do social media like a influencer, if you're
Mhm.
ready to show up on social media like most people don't want to these days because they're burnt out from it. If you're ready to do all those things, you probably could. But if not, you might want to have the support of a well-run salon that can help you get there. But the beauty schools are not teaching that.
Yeah.
No.
And
Yeah, I
there's so
think
many hard things that go into being a suite runner. After you, Mark, we'll ask Ashlee what the hardest thing. I think I know, but what the hardest thing she went through as a suite runner. But what were you going to say?
what was I going to say? Yeah, I think that it comes down to like, I think our approach now correcting this issue is going to be us basically breaking that down, maybe breaking down. This could be a full webinar, what it actually takes to be successful in each lane of the
Mhm.
current beauty industry and what to be prepared for and run the numbers. There's a like a videographer producer guide for events that always runs the numbers. So I think that could be an interesting way too, and just to give people an educated understanding of how to go and tell them how not to make the decision, what the decision shouldn't be predicated on. And I think that's going to be a huge solve to this whole thing. But
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, so go ahead, Ashlee. What was the question now?
What is the hardest thing you've been through as a suite runner, as a business owner? Let's say that. What's the hardest thing that you've been through?
Yeah, this is okay. So I hired my first assistant in
This
January.
isn't what I thought you were going to say, but go ahead.
No. I hired my first assistant. I wanted to grow a little bit. And it did not work out. She actually left me after 2 months. It was very fine. She left on good terms. She got an opportunity from a much bigger salon, stuff that I couldn't offer her. And I was honest with her and I told her I'd root for her. And that was really tough. And I think my ego was mostly hurt out of everything because I was transitioning from being, considered a studio person to maybe starting to have a little bit more of a commission style. But also, what else is really hard? Literally keeping track of everything, having a backbone in business. Like I could list
I
probably,
thought you were going to say the break-in.
oh my gosh, yeah, I got broken into.
Not you completely blocking out that your salon was robbed.
Yeah, like $6,000 of stuff was taken. It was super cool while I was in the Bahamas on a family vacation.
Literally woke up to what, like some guy in your suite just like ransacking it. Like,
Yep,
You were
ransacking
watching
it.
it happen on the cameras,
So
or
my phone kept going off. I was on a cruise, and so you only have Wi-Fi, and my phone kept like binging that someone was in the salon, and I'm like, well, that's probably just the headlights from people because it's like 3 a.m. there. And the next morning, the studio owner called me and was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Awesome day one of vacation. What a great way to."
but she has she's probably one of the only studio renters that has cameras. I think you're one of the only ones in your
I was,
building at the
yeah, I
time.
was the only one with a camera, and so that's how we got him. He lived upstairs. He was dabbling in some propane making drugs and anhydrous,
And needed
and
hairspray or what? Like,
uh, he like came down and stole a bunch of stuff. I think quick cash, but it was
damn,
yeah.
yeah, and like
yeah,
and Ashley, you got the cameras, you got the insurance. These are things that people don't. They actually go into a suite without ever even thinking any of these things are
Right.
needed, and
No.
then you were able, she actually I mean, you have them on camera. Like, you were able to actually like see that. And I think
Mhm.
you felt like, I remember you saying like, I feel so violated.
Yeah, I had to move. I moved
Yeah.
studios.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 It's
But
yeah, it's like these things that you just never think will happen. I think that, and going back to like your associate, and bringing somebody else on, I even from like, obviously this is not in, maybe not obviously, but wasn't in a salon, but like had my first assistant that I had ever hired. It really helped me start scaling my business. And I remember losing her after she was with us like over a year, and it was like, okay, but then I had somebody else that was an intern that I was able to bring in and correct the position. So I was like, oh, I avoided something. Still had an ego that was hurt because I was like, how dare she want to go somewhere else that pays her more money?
Right.
But she put her time and effort, and and also the most important thing was honest and truthful, and kept everything cool.
and
Right. So
genuine. It's so
yeah,
important to be genuine, because a lot of people start that um like they want to be cool, right? And then like right near the end, they're like all this
yeah,
hate. And it's like, yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
we
It's
didn't have to turn
bad.
that corner. We didn't have to do that.
You don't
Yeah,
burn a bridge. You never know, like,
You never know when
who
you're
you're
gonna
gonna
need
yeah,
somebody.
need later, you
And even
know?
if
yeah,
you don't need them, like, why have all this, like, why
Right.
have all these like weird relationships with people? I'm actually going to put a different spin on that. I've been, we've had my training salon or my training program in my salons for a long time.
Mhm.
And I've had multiple associates myself, but I've also had multiple high level stylists in my salons become educators. And it is very discouraging to not have your first one work out. I don't know that all of the educators first one didn't work out, but I would say most of the time their first one doesn't work out. And I
Mhm.
actually think it's a good thing, because you are going through such a pivotal time when you become an educator, and you are like, it's a whole, you're going to make mistakes as an educator when you first start. Now, my first associate back, I guess it was probably about 13, 14 years ago when I first had my associate. And I had to change so many things on this poor girl as we were going, because I was learning and I had to keep telling her, like, sorry, we're not doing it that way anymore. We're doing it this way now. Sorry, we're not doing it that way anymore. We're doing this way now. I need you to do this instead of that. And so she rolled with the punches.
Yeah.
She really just rolled with the punches. She was the perfect first associate. And that was great. But most of them would not like all that change and all that like back and forth. And they might start to judge you a little bit and be like, oh, she didn't know what she's doing. Like, she's always
Mhm.
changing things on me. I mean, I hear it from people about their past salons. You know, my boss said this, but then they change it to this. And I'm like, well, they're learning too. I mean, it's everyone's first time living.
Mhm.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like people have these like, oh, I don't like, this feels like messy, or this feels like they keep changing things on me. And so it gives you the opportunity when you lose somebody to change based off of what you learned without them holding that against you. So that's just like a
Yeah.
little spin that I'll put on that, that
Absolutely.
I teach my stylists in my salon when they lose an associate, because it is discouraging to not have somebody, especially when you've poured into them. I know you invest a lot of money into the people who are going to be coming to work for you as far as education and photo shoots and things like that. And that can be really, I mean, it teaches you to have those contracts in place that can protect you if
Mhm.
you invest money into someone and it doesn't work out. And that's just whole business. That's not hate. That's not like, oh, I'm going to get you back. Like,
Right.
that's just protecting our business. And
Mhm.
it teaches you that those things are important, because even the best people who you think are going to be so perfect and they have everything that it takes, even those ones will leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've found that even with clients, the ones that are the nicest, you think is the best thing ever, then they eventually will turn on you. Money changes things and all of that. And
Mhm.
just the last thing that I wanted to do, I know we're going to wrap here shortly. We'll throw it back to Ashlee, but um, like once I lost the next assistant, and then the next one, or like however long they lasted, then it stops phasing you after a while. So it hurts less every time somebody leaves. And I actually initially started coddling a little bit too much because I didn't want people to leave me, and I
Mhm.
wasn't as great of a leader as I am now because I was afraid of losing people versus finding out who they were, what they wanted out of life, and help lead them to that, whether they stayed with me or not. And so I found myself in a even more vulnerable state because the business wasn't doing as well because I didn't want to talk too directly to people because then they would leave. And I had a rude awakening that when I had to fire somebody, and then I was like, okay, this is the last time I'm ever going to do that because I'm not being efficient and I'm not pulling out the most out of them because I'm afraid of losing them. And it took me a while to become a better leader later down the road. So that's just a little note based on losing people and it changing you, but then you have to
Mhm.
change and evolve over time.
The hard thing about it for salons and just hairstylists in general, and I talked about this, I don't know where did I talk about this? I don't think I've made it into any content yet, but I had a conversation the other day that I was talking about how like in most companies, people go to work and people come and go from that job. And, if you're the boss, you have to fire people and let people go. People quit. And no one in your personal life ever finds out about it. You don't have to explain to people why people left and things like that. But in
Mhm.
the beauty industry, it's such a social industry that a lot of the people that your friends and family, like friends and family of yours, will come to know these people. They'll follow them. They'll see them in your salon. They'll see them in your space. And even like your clients who become your friends will then meet these people. Obviously, they're working with you. And then when those people leave, it's like immediately, oh, must be trouble in paradise. And oh my God, what happened? Oh, I saw so and it's like you have to relive that trauma. I don't know if you experience this, Ashley, but I've experienced this multiple times where it almost forces a reaction out of you because so many people are asking you what happened.
Yeah.
And even if it wasn't that big of a deal to you, it starts to become one because everyone is so involved in your team because it's such a social industry and so many people are intertwined with your day because they're your clients or other coworkers or they're your family who in my case I work with my family so of course
Yeah.
it's intertwined. Like it's almost overwhelming at this point in my career 20 years in or 18 years in. It's become like actually very overwhelming to me because I've been in my leadership role for now, I don't know, close to 10, somewhere around 10 years. And I'm like, I am so sick of my business being so intertwined with my social life that I've really had to draw the line. I have my work phone and my personal phone, and a lot of friends I keep on my work phone because they're mostly a client or mostly a
Right.
work friend. And so I keep them there because I need to disconnect and I don't want to cross those lines so much. And I don't know. It's really that's something I struggle with. Have you found that? Have you found that yet? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I felt like after my associate left, I felt like when people kept asking, I kept like getting like worked up more and more. But I
Or like more
wasn't,
sad?
yeah, and I wasn't like sad at her. I just like the way it was like like my clients and my friends needed me to have a reaction that wasn't like, no, I'm happy for her, you know? Um,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, it's so hard. I mean,
it's
really,
so hard.
it's probably I would go as far to say it's been the most biggest thing that I've struggled with
Mhm.
is, and I didn't even realize, I haven't realized it all this time, but I'm just now realizing how hard it has been for me to have so much intertwined with my business
Mhm.
that a lot of things that I wouldn't have reacted to at all. And I would have just been like, okay, like moving on.
Mhm.
I've almost been like, a reaction has been forced out of me and then it's almost been held against me too.
Right.
And so I'm like, wait, I don't that's not fair. That's not
Oh,
how I
yeah.
felt. Like, why is everybody so involved? And then you take the reactions of other people who seem bothered by it, even if they're a bystander, even if they're literally just someone watching on Instagram, they'll come sit in your chair and be like, oh, I can't believe you did so much for, and it's like, God, now it's like, sucker punch me one more time. And it's just like, you almost have to live that what is it called? Rejection
Yeah.
Yeah,
over and
yeah,
over and over
yeah.
again.
It's an impossible.
Hard.
Seems like an impossible thing to deal with, and that's why maybe it's therapy. Maybe I don't know what
It's
the
therapy
correct
for
thing.
sure.
Regardless,
Yeah.
it is something that's very difficult in the beauty industry, and this is why we're being so loud about this because that is a huge component in all of the chaos that's going
Right.
on because people are making uneducated decisions and then doing it on bad terms and forcing this chaos to just continue spiraling out.
Mhm.
And if people knew what they were doing and they were a little bit more mature about it, maybe a lot more mature about it, then the beauty industry would be, just a better place. And I think that's where we have to continue speaking about to get it there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Well,
continue to be loud about it.
yeah. Well, in the beauty industry, when you really step back, it's a beautiful industry,
Oh,
obviously.
yeah,
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know?
100%.
But it's like we have such a facade or like such a view of like we have the biggest gossip. We
Mhm.
have the most drama. I have people that come in here that are like, okay, so what's new? And I've only ever had to sign one NDA, and it was at a salon I worked at in Colorado. But I treat my business like that. Like I have some clients that don't allow me to share that they even come here, and I have some clients who come in and they tell me their whole life trauma. And then, and so like, I feel like once we stop with the dramatics of our industry and just promote, like when people ask me about my associate leaving, I've found that I stand up for her, like I'm hurt and I love her. I've known her forever. I was actually her high school dance coach. And so like we have a good relationship. And I'm like, you know what? No, she had to go do this for her. Right. Like I think people want a reaction because hello, we're in the world of the Kardashians. Like we need a good reality. But I feel like pivoting to even like talking about other stylists, right? Like you'll get a color correction come in and they want you to just sit and talk shit about the stylist they went to. And that's one thing I've always prided myself on is I will never talk shit about another stylist's work or worth. I will never tell you paid too much to get your hair done. I will tell you that stylist probably should have charged you more, that she is worth more than what she charged you. But I'm like,
because you're the ultimate girl's girl, whether you know you or not.
Yeah, I'm like, just like, let's do better, people. Come on.
Yeah. It's so true. And we really just need to continue being loud about this kind of stuff. This is the stuff nobody wants to talk about because they don't want to sound a certain way. But frankly, we don't care.
We don't care. No.
Yeah.
Oh man. Awesome.
Well,
this has been a fabulous conversation. I really had no plan going into this chat with Ashlee. I just knew it'd be great.
Like March just like eavesdropping on our FaceTime, honestly.
No, we gotta have you on more. I think we gotta have you on more often, Ashlee. I think this is great. This is cool to do like a trio like this. And some people commented, Robin, Jess, and Rochelle. Appreciate you guys being here.
I didn't have my comments on. Hi guys.
Hi.
I think that's the perfect way to end today, and we'll have to pick it up again like this soon.
Yes, I'll try to have my hair curled on time next time, as long as your husband doesn't throw a fork in my day. No, I'm just kidding. Poor guy. I'm gonna go check on him.
All right, and Ashlee, thanks for being on. Where can everybody find you?
At Ashlee M. Fisher on Instagram or salon 3_AF because I like to keep it spicy.
Yes. All right, girl. Thanks so much for having for having us on, for being on. And I will see you in London in literally 2 weeks.
Let's go.
All right.
I might show up. You never know.
He hasn't said yes or no yet. He's still undecided.
No.
All right. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.